So guys, this episode of Mental Wealth, we've got Alan Hiddleston. He's a cryptocurrency sort of coach and he's a director of online learning. Alan, I kind of always like to start at the beginning with my guests. What was life sort of like growing up?
Well, start at the beginning. I won't quite start at the beginning, but I grew up in Cumbernauld, so I'm the oldest of three. I've got two younger sisters.
Right.
I think like growing up, I mean, you know, we weren't particularly kind of like well off or anything like that, but you know, we weren't kind of breadline or that. But I think one thing that started early on for me was obviously when I was quite young, my dad got made unemployed. It was back in the 1980s and Thatcher era and things, and stuff was quite rough. There was high unemployment. He actually went back to uni, quite a brave thing to do, and studied actually for 6 years, did a masters and things. And it was quite difficult for obviously having my mum to balance that when I was growing up, but it really, I think that instilled a lot of values in me about learning and the importance of education, and also that sometimes you have to do these things, and obviously it allowed him to go on and get a better job, and they were able to move out of the area that we're in and move to a slightly better area and a better place. But moving schools when I was growing up was quite a big thing, because I don't know if you've ever had that experience, but it's quite, I was like age 13 and doing that, and I've ended up getting into sales, but actually when you do that, it's quite difficult to get to know people in that environment where suddenly plunged in. So it really helped to kind of hone a lot of probably skills that I've got now, do you know what I mean, by getting to know people, and actually looking back, like I made some great friends that way, and it's something that always
good stuff. So like, see when you obviously said that your dad sort of went back to uni, was your mum kind of like working sort of two jobs and juggling you guys as well, or?
I don't really, I can't actually really remember how that worked. I know my mum was doing some things, and my dad was kind of working a wee bit when he could and things like that. So it was probably quite tough times, but we didn't really kind of notice it that much.
It's a big commitment, like 6 years as well. It's a really you've got kids as well, but so it's really brave to do that. So it's interesting. So you've seen that and kind of seen like, okay, education is the way out, or is that kind of how it impacted you? Like?
Yeah, I mean these kind of early experiences definitely make a big impact on you, and I think that's always like, it's always been something that's been in my brain, like trying to kind of work hard and learn things. That's a route to improving your life and other people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Blair mentioned, the online learning company, but just take us to like from leaving school, university, and then what your first kind of jobs were.
Yeah. When I left school, I went to study science at university. I know we were talking about you guys doing science. I ended up studying biology.
Okay.
I had a great time at university. I wasn't very academic. I've never really been a very academic person. I think people say I'm bright, but I'm not very studious. So I kind of struggled quite a lot with actually screwing down and
remembering things. That's what a lot of
exactly. Laterally I kind of found out my son has been diagnosed with ADHD, and they say that's hereditary, and so possibly looking back, maybe I've got some of those characteristics, and that's perhaps why I struggle. But anyways, I did that. I studied that at university, but I mean, I think by the time I left uni, I was like, I'm not going to be a scientist. But I did really enjoy the whole atmosphere, and I went out a lot and stuff. And I got to know loads and loads of people, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. But when I left, I got a job as a trainee manager in manufacturing. That didn't work out too well, because really, like, I was just sort of like, I don't know, it wasn't really what I was good at. I was just sort of trying to manage by numbers and very detail oriented and things, and that didn't really float my boat. But actually, I didn't really get fired from that job, but it was come to a mutual decision. So, but at that point, I was I just got engaged to my now wife, and so obviously that was a bit like we were just about to buy a house a couple of weeks before that, so it wasn't great timing. But it's amazing the decisions you make when you're young and maybe a little bit stupid. But But yeah, I ended up going and getting a job in a call centre, selling Sky TV, cold calling people.
I've done that, but I wasn't cold calling. I was the retention, so cancellations. So
you were doing cuss can and stuff like that.
We'll get you a bit of deal, like don't
I
leave
did some of that
it.
too. I did some of that
So
too.
tell us about that then. What was that
I
experience?
found that I was actually quite good at it.
Right.
It was a terrible job. It wasn't really a great place to work, and the money was garbage. But I actually found out I really enjoyed sales. And then I got cold called by a recruiter, and they were like, "Oh, IT sales, blah blah blah," and I was like that. "Oh, I don't know about that. I don't really know anything." And they were like, "Yeah, it's nearly double what you're getting." And I was like, "Yep."
Yeah, I did.
Let's have an interview. But I went into a company and I started working there, and I did really, really well, like basically doing lead generation for this software package. And we were selling to like some education organisations and things then as well. But one of the things that I had a really amazing opportunity, the guy who was like top sales guy was leaving, and they said, "We would like you to, we want to offer you a job as a sales rep. This guy's going to train you intensively for 12 weeks. And I'm like, "This is amazing." Because he's like the best sales rep they've ever had.
I think that was just prior to him like sort of leaving, he was going to train.
He had actually, this is crazy, like story, it had an impact on me. He was really into football, and he basically, the whole time he'd been in sales, he was stacking his commission, and he actually put himself through his UEFA coaching badges. So he was actually leaving to go and manage a professional football team in the US. We were like, "Who is this guy?" But he had 12 weeks with him, like a sort of boot camp in sales, and he like, I thought he was going to teach me about like how to close people and stuff, but he taught me all about mindset, goal setting, what you can do. And that was phenomenal, because basically within like a few months I was like totally into all this, like, and it just completely changed.
Did that impact your sales, your ability to sell, do you think?
Yeah, totally, because like I was straight into like, you know, I was a kind of young like guy in my early 20s, like, and you know, most people that I knew were just like going out and stuff like that. And I was like reading like sales books and listening to books in the car, and like reading about all this mindset stuff and studying psychology and setting goals and creating vision boards and things. And I was like, started really doing well, but it was just a lucky opportunity.
It's like sort of one of those things that sort of came along at the right time.
Just
and
meet
like
people
just
sometimes,
It's like it's meant to sort of be like that was the path that was meant to sort of go down. That's mad. And then obviously sort of taking, it's like a big jump from biology. Like, do you still keep in touch with the people that you were at uni with when you were at uni just now? Are they like surgeons and stuff?
I do. Not quite. Most of the people that I'm still friends with, that I was friends with at uni, are not scientists.
Right, okay.
And I should have probably taken something from that at the time, but I wasn't probably emotionally aware enough at that point. But I'm still in touch with them. We've got a WhatsApp group, and we stay in England things now. But yeah, I actually lost touch with them for a very long time, because it was pre-social media that we were at uni. That's how old I am. And so I lost touch with people for a while. But
you just pop up on Facebook and
like, no way.
So you're here as well. But so like, let's talk like lockdown, pandemic happens, right? Is that what kind of catapulted you to start the learning business, or did you see an increase during in online learning?
Yeah, that's a really good. It's a good point, isn't it? I mean, I think everybody's had that feeling, haven't they? Like lockdown happens and you're sitting in your house or wherever, like for extended periods of time. I mean, the way it impacted me was I was working obviously for a company called D2L. We do like online learning software, and I've always worked from home working for them. But when the pandemic hit, everyone was like, we have to do online learning. So it went absolutely bananas. But obviously we were locked down, so even though it was really busy, I still had extra time. And I started to think about like, I study learning as well as part of my job, so I started to think about what things I could kind of like maybe start a learning business round about. But I was looking at investment opportunities, because obviously I had a bit of spare money kicking about and things through lockdown as well. You can only spend money on your shopping. So I was thinking, right, what can we do here? So I started researching like cryptocurrency as one of the things. I was looking at property, I was looking at cryptos and things, and just somebody I knew had told me about it, and I started playing around with it and realised it was quite good. Like it was quite good returns. So it was quite. So through lockdown, I took some online courses. researched it quite a lot, and then actually enrolled in. Found these guys down south that are doing this training program thing, so I basically stumped up a bunch of money and get into that as well.
Right. So that's really interesting. Now training, there's loads of people out there that do training, especially in cryptocurrency. What advice would you give to someone who's say interested in getting into cryptocurrency and they're looking at say a training provider? What are the kind of things to look for to avoid, someone that's doesn't really know what they're talking about?
Yeah, I mean it's a really hard thing to evaluate because I think by nature of it, it's one of these things where it's a very new, very emerging area. It's connected to money, so therefore there's a lot of bad people have basically come into that space and are trying to take advantage of people not understanding it. But in terms of for me, like it's all linked around about education, really, and it just goes back to my core, values about education. But really, like it's an unregulated thing. There's huge opportunities in it, but it's like any speculative thing. You need to really educate yourself, do your own research, and figure out what's right for you. Think about what risks you're prepared to take. Think about what you would be prepared to give up. To do something.
And I think that kind of goes back to like, especially with investing, if you like, especially in shares and obviously crypto as well. Like I do have a wee bit of a flutter on free trade, just on that, but I never put in anything like above like £30 on one company or that. It's like it's always a mentality like, do you know what, if it's £20 and it goes bust, like it's £20, it's a slap in the wrist, like you can afford to sort of lose it. But it's just one of those things. I think like I think everyone will sort of know themselves like how much they can afford to lose on sort of certain things as well. And just obviously,
have you experienced then like that roller coaster of emotions where lots of these people that are buying coin and they skyrocket? Have you seen lots of ups and downs then?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and I think that's a really important thing because this is a thing where you're not, like if you get into this you have to learn about it yourself, and you can go into a coaching program, you can get training and things, and you can seek, you can find out, you can get answers from people and things if you've got trusted, credible sources to do that. But ultimately, it's a roller coaster. It's very volatile, and I mean, I've been there as well. Like the first day that I started in this program, I'd got set up and I'd put all my stuff on the exchange and things, and Elon Musk tweeted about going to the moon or something like that with Bitcoin that Tesla had invested in it. And the next day I woke up and literally I was literally thousands of pounds up, and before I'd done anything. What is this? This is insane. So of course I was euphoric at that point, and I was like, this is amazing. We're gonna we'll be a millionaire in like 2 months or whatever. And then we obviously, like I went through the program and I built a portfolio out of diversified high and low risk assets and things. And then it's done really, really well. But at the same time, like I think that like obviously like the market like plunged in back in sort of end of May, beginning of June, down by about like 80%. So basically,
I bought some just before then.
Did you? Well, that's like it was kind of obvious that it was going to happen, right? Like for the people that are in like our like coaching group and things like that, people were expecting there was going to be some type of correction, because these markets don't go up forever, and you'll know, like if you're in the stocks and things like that, stuff doesn't go up forever. It has to.
So what was it that kind of indicated that it was gonna crash?
Just the fact that it's just going up for a very long time, basically.
So it wasn't a matter of like exactly when, it was just as coming soon.
Yeah, it's like the way that these types of things work, like market cycles, the same with stocks, the same with gold. It's just that crypto is much more volatile because it's much newer and it's smaller, so it can bounce up and down. But it's just like when it gets up to a peak, a lot of people that have made money sell, they take the profits, and then that drops it.
So when those people like buy at the lows, they'll see it when it's high and they'll go right, cash out now, and then that's a sort of thing that they cash out on and say right, okay, and then that's sort of like because a lot of people, there's not a lot of shareholders in that in that sector of Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. I mean, the thing is that it's the savvy investors, and you've got a lot of banks and institutions and things and hedge funds are in this now, and they know how it works. But it's the average person on the street, right, that like Shiba Inu is the big thing right now. Everybody's going mad for that, and like, you know, people are like that. My dad like called me up the other day and asked me about it, right? Doesn't barely know how to work a laptop, so he's watching. But the thing is, when it gets to the peak and gets to the top and all that, when it's really high and it's all very exciting and things, that's where like, you know, some person that you met down the pub wants to go and buy a bunch of it, you know, and that's like totally the wrong thing to do, and then they get like
£200 down.
Then they get they get hammered, and then they get like really angry about it, and they get upset about it.
It's a scam, and it's like,
yeah. So there's just sort of advice, obviously, like, because it is a volatile market, cryptocurrency. It's that, and like sort of Forex is the other one that they always say is really up and down foreign exchange. Would you sort of advise people what to do, and then would you sort of obviously advise them the best times to invest as well? And just sort of like, do you just sort of like, if they're feeling down about it, obviously give them a wee bit of like, just a bit of chat, a wee bit of picking them up as well, you know? It's
like a bit of a hug. I mean, the thing about it is it's very important to understand about it is that it isn't regulated, so you can't like, if you're a business that's working in the cryptocurrency space, providing training, providing education to people, like, you can never give people financial advice. You can never say you should take this money and put that there. All you can do is basically provide information, you can provide knowledge about it, and then ultimately the decisions, they have to be made by the people, because there's no, and that's a problem as well, right? Because there's no regulatory structure around about it, there's no guidelines, there's no things, and so as a result of that, it's like, you know, there are people who are very well educated, and you could go to them and they could tell you exactly, do this, do that, and then you would. But because of where it is at the moment, it's really like suitable for people who are, you know, who are prepared to learn a little bit about it and actually be okay with taking their own decisions based on like sound understanding of it.
Because that's one of the things that I sort of seen, like obviously hydrogen's becoming a big player in the sort of climate change game, like everything's kind of moving to hydrogen, this, heat pump, this. So that's, the renewables is one sort of industry I've sort of put a few pound on, like, not like, it's nothing big. I think in total I've maybe invested £100 and just spread sort of the shares across different companies that were involved in it. I'm up at the minute, but I think I'm just gonna like hold on until like if it really does peak. You never know, after COP26 it might, you know. So
I think that's really like, I think the environmental aspect is a really important point. I think when people think about cryptocurrency, that's a thing that's really hot burning on their mind. And
the power they use to
it uses quite a lot of power to mine a lot of it. But I think that's changing as well, because the way technology evolves, you know, things are just trending towards becoming more renewable, and as you obviously are well aware of the renewable industry, there's all the kind of move of the technology as it's becoming like lower cost, lower energy usage to sustain it over time.
Do you believe that cryptocurrency will replace conventional currency?
Yep, 100%. It's, you just have to look at what's happening, like what's happening in the world, and you know, a lot of people ask, like when they start like on our programs, they're like, well, what am I going to do with it? Like what am I going to like, how am I going to like cash it out? And we're like, you don't need to cash it out. You can get, like MasterCard have just announced yesterday that they're going to basically allow, like through a partnership, to allow any merchant to basically sell, you know, crypto, basically use crypto on MasterCard. And there's already over 200 Visa cards that allow it. So I mean, I've got like a Coinbase card that I can just walk into a shop and buy like 4 rolls and a pint of milk with Bitcoin.
That's crazy.
So how does it does it transfer it? How does it work?
So basically, it's just like any other currency. Have you ever, like, you know, if you go on holiday, right, and you've got like a Revolut card, or have you ever had like a exchange card or something where you charge it up with like currency, and then you can spend that like
So you charge it up with the Bitcoin at that value, because obviously with the volatility of
it just converts in real time.
It keeps converting.
Whatever the rate is at that point, there'll be a set exchange rate. It's the same. I mean, if you use your debit card and you're in New York, and you go and use your UK debit card, and it'll change it then.
So I take it MasterCard charge a fee to exchange it.
Yeah.
So right, okay. So
just in the same way that, you know, if you bought like something on a currency,
it's like Thomas Cook, you bought euros at Thomas Cook, they take a commission from it, and then
that's exactly the same. I think in the future, the way it's moving, and there's actually, I was talking to one of the guys that is in our programme, he's got a cycling coaching business. He was actually saying the bike shop that he has his studio in actually has Bitcoin on the till, so you can actually go and send it straight to the till. So you don't even have to pay the intermediate fees.
Your cash registers. You know.
So like, see what like the trading side of the business is that. Where do you want to take that to? Do you want to have a big team of like coaches, or are you happy kind of just having a more close relationship with your students?
Yeah. Have you ever seen the Wolf of Wall Street?
Is that what you want? Yes. Great, I'll be right up there with
Stratton
doing lines off the table.
I don't think you would have his own running job after that sort of thing.
Not quite. No, I'm part of a bigger franchise brand. So I'm one of like, so I kind of like have Scotland, but they are like a bigger team. I'll say a bigger team. There's 3 of them. They're based down south. It's emerging.
Also, is this the company that you learned from?
Yeah, exactly. So I basically took on almost like a sort of franchise for Scotland, I feel like. But the plans there are to expand it. I mean, for me personally, I have a day job that like I love and that I'm committed to, and I feel I'm creating a lot of good impact and things. Like, you know, longer term, like I work in the technology industry. Blockchain, the cryptocurrency runs on tokenization things. They're all going to become intertwined. So for me, this is just a natural extension.
People could essentially pay for online learning using Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
And you can already do that. And some, there's some projects that are incentivizing like children and adults to learn and pay them.
So you sort of mentioned, like you sort of said you sort of grew up sort of swimming and stuff in North Ayrshire. Do you still like to kind of do that, and is it something you sort of enjoy zoning out from cryptocurrency and online learning as your sort of day job as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we were chatting a bit about swimming. Like I used to be a swimmer when I was kind of teenager and stuff, and I actually swam for Cumbernauld, and then it was only when I got into the Masters that I went to North Ayrshire. But I really enjoy that, and I think it's really important. Like obviously the kind of like older that I've got, and obviously I'm a lot older than you guys, but I think when you have a very busy job, and also I've got family as well. I've got a little boy that's 9, and I've got a stepdaughter who's a proper grown up now and lives on her own most of the time. But when you have that kind of like atmosphere, and obviously I'm trying to do this side thing as well as the day job, it's very, very taxing on your brain. And like just the cognitive overload of every day of like you can feel so I find like swimming is a brilliant thing.
It's a brilliant, really.
You can't use your phone.
I know. You're just that's the really good thing about it, because there's an hour. You could go to the gym, use your phone. You could go around, use your phone, but it's just an hour just to zone out. And that's something I kind of missed during lockdown. I went runs, but it's not the same. But I went runs, headphones in, listened to a set for like an hour or so. But is it the Citadel in North Ayrshire? Is that the
Citadel's a pool in Ayr.
Right.
Usually I train at the one at Largs, which is I think the only Viking themed swimming pool in Scotland. No, Largs is a big Viking town, but so I usually swim there or I swim in Troon.
So how did it go from swimming pools to doing like the triathlons and the more competitive stuff?
I think you kind of get older and you realise that when I went back to swimming, I'm like that. Well, I'm not really that good at this. Like I'm not really that competitive at this. And I'm like that. Well, I could try it. Somebody was like, "Oh, you should try triathlons." And I'm like, "Well, I'm pretty bad at running as well. I haven't really ridden a bike for ages." I was like that. But maybe if I could mediocre at 3 things.
Smash the
the
one swimming.
Yeah, but I could maybe beat a few people at
Yeah.
swimming.
Yeah.
So I just get into that, and there was a guy, the guy that we worked with was like, oh, we should all do this, like, you know, he was, you know, that way where people are like, let's do a challenge, and all. So he built us all up and motivated us all to do it. In the end, he never done it. A group of us done it.
We all know that guy, don't we? Like,
Yeah, he's that guy. He's like the CEO of a company now,
Oh,
so
right.
maybe he obviously had something cooking there.
Yeah.
So thanks for that, Neil. But yeah, so I got into that, and I just really liked it as a new challenge. I think like challenges like that outside of your job, outside your
It's
family,
good, yeah. No,
something,
it's-
you know, where you can like, you'll know that, like if you like, you know, fitness and things, just a chance to further yourself, learn a few new
Yeah,
things.
100%.
And obviously just being the kind of person that I am, got a bit longer distance, finally did an Ironman, and then
Oh, so you
Oh,
did
so
this,
Iron
you
Man,
did
tell
that,
us
yeah.
about that.
that was the worst, best and worst day of my life.
So what is, talk us through each like challenge.
So an
part.
Ironman is basically, it's a 2.4 mile swim, a 112 mile cycle, and then a marathon at the end of it. Now, the good news and bad news was on the day the weather was like horrendous. It was like,
Yeah.
I was in Ireland doing it in
Right.
Cork, and the waves were like, you know, 5-6 feet high and stuff. So they actually cancelled the swim,
Ah.
Right.
which was, we were destroyed, but at the same time, like, it was a sensible, safe thing to do.
Yeah.
So the weather was lashing, so we had to start on a bike, so we had to stand for 2 hours in the pouring rain with our bikes, ready to go, and then we went out and cycled, and the weather was so bad we had to go quite carefully around the course. It took nearly 7 hours to get around the bike, and then obviously ran a marathon after it. And the marathon was actually enjoyable because, well, most of it was, the back half of it was horrible. But you know, you're in the town and you're running through and you feel like you're doing this achievement, and I think the feeling of running down the finish at the end and the
Pain I guess after.
Yeah, I'm
Exactly.
I'm sure like getting to the finish is probably, you know, you've got everyone cheering you on and stuff, but see, like, talk about in the middle, in the trenches, like what's going through your head.
Yeah, I remember being in probably about just after the start of the second lap. I was about 72 miles into the bike or something like that, and I was actually in a portaloo, like having a pee, thinking, "Oh, what am I doing, man?
Faking injury.
I could just say my bike's broken.
Yeah.
I could just go home."
Yeah.
And then I actually kept that mindset up for probably about the next 10 to 15 miles, like, oh, maybe I could will my chain look okay? And I really thought I was kind of just sick of it, but as it went on, I realised, look, you don't have that far to go, just get the bike done. And I got that done, and then when I started the run, it stopped raining, so it was a big mental lift. And I was like, alright, we're down next to the seaside, it stopped raining, everyone's cheering, you know, great. And then by the back half of the run, I was back to I'm going home.
It's a massive achievement.
It's
great.
Did you get the tattoo? Did you get the Ironman tattoo?
Well, I thought about it. They cancelled the swim, right? So if you don't like understand, if you don't know about these things, like I couldn't live with myself knowing that I hadn't done the full thing. So I'm going to have to go
I
finish
could
the
do it
thing.
again. Yeah, Blair said he wants to do it as well, so he
Tell me when you're doing it. Like, tell me when you're doing it.
Sponsored by the podcast.
I'll maybe do a marathon next year. I plan for the London Marathon next year.
Right.
We'll see how it goes in October if I get selected for it. But
But I mean, just following on that kind of mental side of things, our show's called Mental Wealth. So, like, see, when I say that to you, what does that mean? Like, to you, what comes to mind when we say mental wealth?
There's two things. Like, I thought it was an advert for like a Scottish cryptocurrency thing. You can make mental wealth.
Mental wealth, mate.
But
That's
like-
a name you can make some.
But the other side of it would be, I think it is really, like, on a more serious note, like, I think it is really important, especially now. I think it's great you guys are doing this to kind of further that thing. I think through lockdown, there's a lot of people have struggled. I mean, I think I have struggled. I'm pretty sure you guys have been through challenge. Everybody has, and actually, like, if you don't have good mental health, like, you don't really have quality of life. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter like how many things you have, how good a job you have, how great your family is.
Bitcoin you have.
How much Bitcoin you have. It does, how many Lambos you've got. None of that matters if you feel terrible. Do you know what I mean? And actually, like, it's something that I think, you have to work really hard at, especially now when there's just distractions and noise and things all round about you. You're talking about like going swimming for an hour to switch
your phone off.
Your phone off.
I know.
That's like that is it's brilliant. Like, and you feel so refreshed.
You have to get into a pool just to get away from your phone. It's like it's always on you.
But like that's something as well. Like swimming is just such a mad sport. I don't know if you've swam much, Adam, but like I was speaking to my old coach about this, and he was like, it's one of those like things you do, and you'll be speaking to someone next to you, and the next day, and you'll just go swim like 100, 200 metres, and you'll continue the conversation after that.
Just where it left off.
Just when you've left off, like nothing's happened, and it might be another like 2 to 5 minutes, but you'll still continue it. Like, it's crazy. It's a good sport though.
It is. It's really good. And through lockdown, I actually went open water swimming quite a bit. I mean, I do open water swimming anyway for triathlon, but I have to admit, I've been a bit of a. I don't like cold water that much, but I did get used to it through lockdown, and that is very refreshing as well. Like it does the cold water shock. Like it does kind of release a lot of endorphins and things. And it does give you a nice feeling when you've finished. It's horrible when you get in. Truthful about it, but it's really good and it's refreshing.
But I think as well, like the positive of that is you don't need to wash the chlorine off you. Once you're finished, you're just like, I'm cool.
It depends where you're swimming. Like I mean, some places like you definitely want to be having a shower when you get out of them. But it's great, and I think it's a great low impact sport to do as well, because like I've been injured from running with my ankle for a while. But like it's great just having swimming, because you can, doesn't matter really, you can just get into it, and it doesn't matter what type of ability you have or anything. Like anyone can get in and do it a wee bit.
Almost everyone.
I've
had times in a very deep pool where I was. No, I can swim alright though, not the best, but like, see, just there you mentioned on like quality of life and things like that, and you all, before you mentioned like goal setting and what one of your colleagues was teaching you. So like, what is it that drives you? What's your kind of motivation?
That's a big question, isn't it? But I think it's I mean, I want to try to do, if anything that I get involved in, I always want to try to do it to the best that I possibly can, and I'm always happy if I feel like I've done that. I mean, obviously a lot of what I do, my day job is sales, and it's a lot of, we work on a lot of big deals and things, but I always think that it's the quality of what you do and how you do it, and if you do it to the best that you possibly can, you can always kind of be happy with yourself. You can always be kind of you can always kind of live with yourself, and that kind of really drives me. Like I'm always interested in just trying to do a bit better. I mean, I used to have really big goals about, I want to do this, and like I want to retire when I'm 50 and things. I'm going to do that stuff like that goal. But like, I want to do this, I want to have this type of car and things like that. And it's like now I think that like what drives me is like trying to build each day, trying to build like a better life, like trying to just have a good day. Like what's a good day look like? I wake up, like I have a decent sleep, I do some exercise, I spend some time with my son before I go to work, I do a good job at work. In the evening I spend some time with my family, I might do some training or do some stuff for my sideline, I might do some more work, try not to. Like I just try to, the thing that drives me is just trying to have like, a decent like decent habits and decent quality of life every day, rather than like I want to change the world. I like to have an impact in the things that I do, and I like to feel good about what I've achieved, but I don't really ever want to like become Prime Minister or something.
No, that is interesting. I think that is, for a lot of people, it is really what the goal is, isn't it? It's just like having the freedom to do what you want, and not being stuck in a job that you don't like. And it's obvious that you do really enjoy your job, so that's great to hear.
It's almost like being content within your means. Sometimes sort of striving to sort of
if you can be content with not very much, then everything's a bonus, and it's a good happiness recipe. You're saying, it's a good way to kind of advance.
Good stuff. Well, we do this fun question, I guess, towards the end of the show. There's a local ice cream shop in actually the south side of Glasgow, and it does an abundance of flavours. We've like this is the go-to question. So what would be your 2 scoop tub combo from this list?
Right, I've already prepared this.
Oh, you've already
researched it.
Have you? Oh yeah, he's on it.
There's actually two specials they have out at the moment. Bronte Pecan and Marathon Man.
Right,
Both
You are the marathon man.
Wait, is this the one? Is this Nardini's down at Large?
No, it's Valentini's.
Valentini's.
You told me.
It's not, it won't be on that.
It's
Cause
not on.
So it's just come out. It's
Is
on
it
their
just
Facebook
came
page.
so you like nutty flavours?
I do, yeah. I love. Recently switched to being vegetarian, so basically life is nuts. Basically,
Oh,
I'm like a jar of peanut butter a day, man.
Yeah.
Really?
So I saw that and I was just like that. Oh, there's so much nutty goodness in that. Pistachios and the other ones get peanuts.
So the vegetarian is that a health for health, is it, or
It's sort of, yeah, and it's just kind of like trying to find a way to try and eat more like decent food.
Yeah.
I find like my diet got kind of terrible. I got injured and wasn't training a lot of things, and as a result of that, my diet got a bit off.
Yeah.
So I thought like everybody seems to be going vegetarian, trying that out.
Yeah.
And there's a good environmental aspect to it as well, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Stuff.
So
Yeah, I've been
just
trying have you tried any of the vegan meals from like I know it's not healthy, but like McDonald's, and they do like vegan stuff. Have you tried them?
I've not had a McVeg.
You get a vegan Whopper actually. It's actually decent. You can not tell, honestly, you can't tell the difference.
Really?
Yeah, a vegan Whopper, you get a vegan McDonald's as well.
I remember someone in uni. We were all like doing a design project, and someone in uni went, "Can you go get us a vegan sausage roll?" And I was like, "Does anyone ever from guys? Can you get a vegan sausage?" And everyone in the group was just like heading. So I was like,
It's not
Can't legitimately get it.
I think it was just when it first started.
Mate, you get a vegan steak bake as well. They're
Ah,
banging.
yeah,
They're
are they
good,
good?
mate.
Are they
They're
good?
actually quite good.
Really?
But there was also the thing with the
I
vegan
didn't
Whoppers, though, that everyone like flipped the lid because the vegan Whoppers were getting fried on the same grill as the beef Whoppers or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a guy who's like stopped wearing leather and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, I'm going to wear leather anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not that trendy, but I think it's just whether we like it or not, right? Like a lot of kind of industrial meat farming and things like that. It's just really bad for the world we live in, right? And the fact that there's more and more of us here every day, we should be trying to be more.
Exactly.
Responsible.
Think about the cows, the amount of methane that they're producing. That's a big part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not even that. It's like even to the point where it's like they're wanting like fish, chicken is like a disposable sort
That
of.
seaspiracy.
Yeah, man, that was eye opening.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah,
eye opening.
shocking,
The fish farming and stuff.
But yeah, we're getting off track now. But thanks.
Thanks very much for coming on. Have you got any sort of social media links as well?
Yes, well you can find me personally, I'm very active on LinkedIn.
Right, okay.
Alan Hiddleston on LinkedIn.
Okay.
But I'm also, the crypto business is Crypto Coaching Scotland, and we're active on LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram, Crypto Coaching Scot.